I've always had an interest in fashion, in particular in vintage fashion. I studied fashion design when I was younger, worked in the industry for about a year, and then decided that there wasn't a lot of money to be made. Went on to do computing, but came back to fashion. Always really repaired my own clothes, made things, so fashion was always there. Both my parents were tailors, so it's in my blood.
Yeah, Imren and I met when we were up in London. We worked together in an IT department for the London Borough of Islington. In fact, I was her boss at the time, so it made it a bit awkward, but Imren eventually moved up and started living with me up in Bath.
John was a customer of Vintage to Vogue. The lady who owned Vintage to Vogue wanted to sell the business, and I wanted a career change, and I thought, well, why not? We find our items all over the place, really.
So we go to Berlin and do the flea markets, we do the brocants in France, we go to the States, anywhere where we think there might be a good supply. We also get a lot of interesting stuff coming from people bringing stuff into the shop. And again, Bath's a good place for that because there's old money still in Bath and you never know what's going to come in. People come in with a suitcase and open it up and it'll be a treasure trove of clothing from the 1930s that hasn't been seen for years.
My ultimate find was a Dior gown which a lady brought into the shop. I believe it was worn to the Queen's Garden party in the 1950s. It was all bespoke, all handmade.
I tend to focus on buying menswear and what Imren would describe as the sort of the more quirkier items, some of which I get right, some of which I get very wrong. But yeah, there's a lot of kind of odd things in the shop that I've picked up. For example, in one of the cabinets, there's a pair of heart surgeon's glasses from the 1980s, which have Carl Zeiss lenses attached to them. There's a rattle, which is an air warden's rattle from the 1940s, which would have warned people of a potential gas attack. We went to an auction fairly recently in Crewkerne.
Whenever we go to an auction, John will find something that's quite strange.
There was 2 small stoats in a glass case, which I said to him might be quite fun to have in the shop.
So I said, well, okay, when I go home, I'll bid on the stoats. And so I thought I was bidding on these stoats.
And in fact, what we'd purchased was a huge stuffed otter, which we had then to try and get into the car and unload all the rest of the stuff to get it home. But yeah, so that was one of the sort of things that can easily go wrong, I have to say. I would guess probably 70% of our sales come from styling. So somebody would come in and say to us, I've been invited to a 1940s party, what do I wear?
We create bespoke outfits for people where people want something slightly different. We have a lady that comes to us from London. She wanted a particular look that made her stand out from the crowd. So I had a 1970s dress which was very long, so we shortened that dress. It was great fabric, slashed the sleeves, made them look quite gothic, and she loved it, and she wears it to other parties, and she said everybody asks her where she got the dress. We've supplied to Downton Abbey. We've also supplied to Mr. Selfridge, Indian Summer. When a designer does come into the shop, they're looking for something specific. So if we don't have it in the shop, then we will get it from the store and bring it in for them to see. We try to give a personal service so that we cater for everybody's needs. It's not just a dressing up shop.
It's essential for us to keep Vintage Vogue looking fresh.
I mean, it's an exciting place to work and hopefully for customers to come in and experience Vintage to Vogue.